Pleasure to meet you, Arjun. Thank you for making the time. Welcome to the Driven Deal podcast. Can you share a bit more about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture at Docket.io?
Absolutely, Jose. Thanks for having me. Great to have this conversation. I am the co-founder and CEO of Docket.io. At Docket, our fundamental thought process is that less than 10% of the go-to-market knowledge in any given company is documented, and the other 90% lives in somebody's head or in unstructured data. And this data is so critical for companies in terms of giving it to the sellers and buyers. So what we do is we work with companies to pull all the information from the siloed 6, 7, 10 sources inside the company. You imagine your sales enablement tools, Google Drive, Help Center, call recordings, Slack, pull it together into what we call as a sales knowledge lake. And you have two agents that Docket will give you. One is a sales engineer agent that will enable your sellers to be more productive with technical questions. And we have an AI seller agent that will sit on your website, engage with every buyer on a one-on-one basis through voice, video, and images and things like that, and add 15% more into your pipeline.
Wow, amazing. And typically, what sort of companies hire those types of services, Arjun?
Yeah. I mean, we have customers all the way, right? We have customers as low as 50 people, as high as 5,000 people. But we typically work with companies with a few hundred employees all the way up to, 3,000, 4,000 kind of an employee range. That's the range of we work with. We work with CROs and CMOs. For the CROs, if you have a complex product or offering that you are selling and you don't have enough sales engineers to support your salespeople, then you come talk to us. That's the first set. And CMOs, if you have inbound, but you are not able to convert enough inbound, and top of the funnel is a problem for you that you are trying to fix in 2025, then the key question that you are probably asking is, how do I convert more people from my website? How do I accelerate some of the deal cycles? Then you come talk to us.
Amazing. And right now, what major industry are you catering to, Arjun? Or is it all over?
We are industry agnostic as a platform, but then the use cases that we support, AI is also at a place where it is in the early adopter phase. So as you can imagine, those industries that are more early adopters, like tech will obviously be the first one. A lot of our customers are in the tech. Then there is financial services, manufacturing, real estate. So those are some of the industries that we are catering to right now.
Okay, perfect. Now that you mentioned real estate, any big, I mean, what's like the biggest company that you work with in real estate? Doesn't matter. Like, I just want to know like the size, of
Yeah.
the.
So we actually work with a hotel chain. The total chain is about 7,000 hotels or something like that. But we are only operating with the 360 hotel chain part of this larger chain. So that's the real estate. When I said real estate, it's not really full real estate. It's more like hotels. But yeah.
Course, of course. And how long is like the implementation process of your systems in their operation?
Yeah, typically in my observation, LLMs have made it easier for onboarding of enterprise solutions. Our product is not too complex to get implemented. Typically, we see companies spending about a week or two to get the implementation going, and in total, it'll be about 5 to 8 hours of our admin's time in the for testing and for to get on calls, all inclusive. It's about 5, 6 hours.
Oh, that's pretty quick. Amazing. And I'm curious to know with all this going around in your operation and everything, what does a typical day look like for you, even if you have a typical day, Arjun?
Yeah, I mean, founders are those people who don't have a typical day, right? One day you wake up and get on a plane, go attend a conference. The next day you wake up and get on a Zoom call doing a podcast. So my typical day is always governed by the calendars. Like whatever is on my calendar is what is happening. If it is on not on my calendar, I have no idea if that thing
Completely
happens or not. That's true for most of us, I guess. My mornings typically start with some conversations with my India team. We have an India-based team, and the overlap is a little less, as you understand, with the time zones. I'm based in the Bay Area. It starts with a bunch of calls with my counterparts in India, my team in India. Then I typically spend a lot of time on sales calls these days. I'm a founder, early stage company, so I have to get on sales calls. Then a lot of the other time is in finding new prospecting and things like that. So I do executive outreach myself. Then the managerial things, right? The work with marketing, work with finance, all of that to make sure that things are going smoothly. That's the CEO's responsibilities. Then I spend time at night to kind of sit back and reflect on some of the things. So like my own thing, learning more about AI, trying out different tools in AI, which you have to do if you are in the space. You need to know what's happening in the space. Going on Twitter, learning, those kinds of things happen at night, typically from like 8 o'clock to 10:30.
Of course, of course. And I'm curious to know, I mean, if you spend all the time in at evening exploring new tools and everything, you're very up to date in the industry's trends. And I'm curious, what industry trends are you seeing right now?
AI is moving so fast that I don't know if anybody can really claim that they are up to date with everything that's happening. So I don't make that claim. I don't think I'm updated with everything, but I'm certainly trying to keep my eyes and ears open. In terms of the trend that I'm observing, there are many trends. Let's try to break it down. I think that one of the trends that I'm seeing is that companies are starting to buy some AI tools. So for a long time, while the AI hype was on, there's a lot of investor activity, a lot of money coming into the companies. But the capability building that has been happening, when I say capability building, NVIDIA releasing their chips, OpenAI, Anthropics of the world creating the models, and then others kind of doing infrastructure on top of it, which is Google and hyperscalers doing their infrastructure. All of that, right? The underlying infrastructure and capability building of AI has been advancing very fast after the ChatGPT launch in 2022. Correspondingly, the enterprise side of buying hasn't picked up. And fundamentally, the reason is while technology building is easier with money and the right people change management is tougher. In an enterprise, for you to change the way in which a salesperson operates, a marketing person operates, a support person operates, that takes more time than how people think. It's not like, okay, flip a switch and tomorrow everybody is going to work differently, right? Humans are not wired that way. In fact, humans are wired to inertia. We don't like change, right? That's how we are wired. So, so you to introduce a new technology and say, now go, let's do. So I think there has been this huge gap of the capability build versus the real buying and selling in enterprise happening. That I think is slowly picking up. And there is product market fit for some of the offerings, like coding agents. I think they are starting to get to product market fit. Some of the content generation kind of tools are starting to get to product market fit.
Yes.
The rest of the AI stack is still very early. I don't think it is like, I haven't seen enough companies and products that are flying off the shelf. Those are exceptions, like a Lovable or a Cursor or an InVideo. These are exceptions and not really the norm.
Yes.
The other trend that I see is we have always seen B2C and B2B. In
Yes.
AI, there's a very strong B2P that is happening, business to professional, which is a PLG kind of a growth, where a cursor, I can pay $20 and get a cursor seat for myself. I can pay $20 and get a lovable seat for myself, or like a gamma seat for myself for doing my things, right? So that B2P growth has been insanely good. It's essentially a product led growth, but in AI world, it has been like super accelerated. And what that has created is there are a few companies that have been able to get to huge scale of revenue at with very little number of people, like 70 people driving $50 million in revenue, right? So revenue per employee has gone up in the AI world. So that is another trend. We'll see how that trend evolves, whether that will hold, whether that is truly the actual revenue or will there be churn. I think there'll be some churn. I think they'll have to go figure out they won't be able to keep growing with 50 people. I think they may have to scale. I mean, I can keep talking about trends. There are so many of them happening in the world today, but I guess those two, let me pause there.
Of course, of course. Yeah, I mean, there's so much, and like you mentioned before, there are so many tools coming out that help into different industries, and not only industries, into different departments of specific industries. I mean, it's amazing at the speed that the AI industry is growing. And I wanted to ask you, in regards to that, what's working well for you right now, and what has been kind of frustrating in your operation, Arjun?
Are you asking general operations or anything with GT? Like, is there any part that you want me to focus on?
On the docket side.
Docket side. So it's generic operations of Docket. What has been working well for Docket? I think the way in which we have been talking about Docket, the way in which we have been marketing, we have been branding, way we have been able to get our message out to the world, that has been very successful for for us. So people, by and large, I mean, we are not Salesforce, but people kind of know Docket a little bit. The way we have talked about it, Gartner has made us a Gartner cool vendor. So those kinds of things, we have been able to get placed in the right landscapes. We have been able to raise ourselves above the noise of AI a little bit. So I would certainly say, and LinkedIn is a big part of that, and the way in which we engage on LinkedIn is a big part of that. But that is working for us. The way in which we have been building the product and getting it out there, I think that has been working for us. The pipe generation and the deals, that has been working for us, but slow. Our deal cycles are longer, and it takes a pilot time of 1 to 2 months, sometimes even 3 months for us to get the customer closed. So the deal cycles are slow. So that is not that's like not working piece of. So it's like not working. It has to be faster for us to become like a really big company. So things like that. So there is pros and cons, but by and large, I think it's a steady growth that we are seeing.
Of course. And right now, which metric are you most focused on improving there then?
Yeah, today we are most focused on improving SQL to pilot and pilot to closed one. Those are the two biggest metrics that we are tracking, but that's very go to market specific. We do look at other metrics like, release speed. Like I know exactly how many releases I did this month in May so far, and how many we did last month and the month before, right? So we have some metrics to kind of track the product and engineering speed and sprint cycles and things like that. But as a company, I think the biggest thing that we have to index is SQL to SAL, or like, let's say SQL to pilot, and then pilot to close one.
And what tactics have you been using to getting people through the door? What has worked and what hasn't worked?
Yeah, LinkedIn has worked. Like I said, posting on LinkedIn, being public about the products, putting demos on LinkedIn, posting consistently with videos and text on LinkedIn. That has worked. Gartner Cool Vendor and some of these other IVP, A16C, Sapphire, Mayfield, etc., writing about us from an investor standpoint into their landscapes. Mayfield is also our Series A investor. So that has worked. Like there is inbound happening to the website. Good companies are coming to the website and even taking demos, things like that with us. So there's a 21% of our pipe every month is generated through inbound. So that's working. We are starting to see some inbound that is coming from AI answering engines like ChatGPT, Perplexities of the world. They are starting to send some leads our way. Good companies and good leads. A very big company came to us recently because they found us on ChatGPT's deep research. So that's starting to work. Executive outreach is working. When I reach out, when my investors reach out. So, that's very normal part of being a startup. So executive outreach is working. The things that haven't worked but could work is dinners, like closed small dinners haven't worked for us. Getting 12 to 15 people into a room who are revenue leaders, it's very difficult to get those people into a room, and you have to spend a lot of money to put a Michelin star restaurant and things like that, and then follow up and all of that. So if you put together that whole effort, it could work, but it hasn't worked for us so far. So yeah, that's some things working, some things not. Oh, paid LinkedIn is also working for us. Paid LinkedIn is a predictable channel for us. Every month we generate X amount of good leads from LinkedIn. So that's also working for us. Cold
Well,
calling is also working for us.
amazing. And in regards to outbound, you're only doing cold calling and the dinners.
Cold calling, LinkedIn, and dinners primarily. Email we do, but very little, and we try to keep the outbounding to sending offers rather than like, hey, do you want a demo? So we try to put together some offers and use our cold email outbounding to kind of sell the offer. Like, hey, come watch the Sphere experience with us at Vegas. That's an offer that we are emailing you or LinkedIn messaging you. Cold calling we use specifically for, it's a cold script. Do you want to see a demo? Can we have a meeting? Kind of a thing. Cold calling is how we use, like truly cold is cold calling.
And how about the competition? How are you keeping yourself competitive, Arjun?
Yeah. So when you think about competition, there are like two kinds of competitors. There is the direct competitors, and then there is the indirect competitors. Indirect competitors are like, hey, this AI company, this chat GPT can also do this. Why do I need another AI? Like very generic kind of things. And then specific competitors, we do not have a lot of big competition because we are in a new category. So what that means is all of us are in the startup situation, people who we are directly compete with. We are in the early startup scenario, and between them, we are kind of the front runner. We have more resources, we have raised more money, we have customers, so we are doing okay. We have to continue to work to keep up that head start that we have, which is what we wake up every day to do. But that's how we are positioned against the competition right now. We don't really worry or think about competition a lot. We keep track of them. We go and understand what they are doing, how they are messaging and things like that. But typically, we try to obsess over customers.
And what bottlenecks are you seeing that, when unlocked, will take you to that next level in the business, Arjun?
Yeah, it is the speed of sales execution. I think, I mean, pipeline is certainly every company needs more at the top of the funnel. The more that you can get me, the better. But then again, top of the funnel will tap out at some point. Like, I cannot be putting insane amounts of money into LinkedIn, insane amounts of money to Meta to generate leads. That's not the most efficient way to do it. So the top of the funnel is the top of the funnel. Would love to have more there, but it is what it is. Sales execution, I think we have to find more ways to speed up their discovery process. We need to find faster ways to get them through to the pilot. We need to find faster ways to get the information security process faster. We need to find faster ways to get the pilots going and getting them to first aha moment success. So just tightening the sales execution to bring down the deal cycles and get more people through the process. I think that's where a little bit of focus can be put on.
Of course, definitely. That's very important. Any big plans for the rest of 2025? Where do you see yourself in the next 6 to 12 months from now?
We are heads down focused on go to market and product, right? So you will see we recently rolled out a new product called AI Seller. So if you go to docket.io today, there's an AI seller that will pop up in the middle of the page. You can actually talk to the AI seller. It has voice, it has text, it has images, it has videos. It is a truly multi-model agent that can have deep conversations about Docket as a company and Docket as a product. So you as a buyer can actually learn almost everything about the product without even talking to our sales team. So it's a new product. We believe that's the way the future website should look like. It shouldn't all be static pages. That takes too much time. So we just launched it out. We are in the active go to market of that. We have a lot of interest for that. We are starting to bring in customers into that. So focusing on AI seller and driving that to a big success would be a key part of the puzzle in the next 6 to 12 months. And then scaling the go to market, right, on all fronts would be the next thing.
And if you could solve one major challenge today, Arjun, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it is a sales execution challenge. Going back, I want to win faster, land faster is the mantra that I'm holding. How can I land fast without taking 3 4 months? I have decent ACVs, so it is not like I'm burning money while landing customers. But for us to get to that hockey stick kind of a graph, I think we have to land faster. So that's what I'm pursuing. What is that messaging? What are the things that we can pre-do for the customer? How do we accelerate their discovery process so that we can be faster? So that would be probably my ask.
And I'm just curious, how does your sales process look like? You said that you're the top of the funnel, right? You handle all of the sales process, or do you have
We have
all
one more person. So we are two people selling, and we have one person doing the pilot. And actually, we have two people doing the pilot and implementation. So that's the team. Yeah. So we do the sales ourselves between the two of us. We take the first call, but generally, the calls take multiple levels. So, like, first call, then another detailed demo call, then the buying committee call, then you have to bring in the C level, then there's another call. So it takes many, many calls to get them to a level, and then the information security process happens. Information security takes time. It takes 2 weeks, 3 weeks. If it is quarter end, it takes even more time. Then you get the information security done. Then the MSA process takes time because we want our customers to sign the MSA for a year. They get a pilot time, they get a free pilot time, but we want them to sign the MSA. So the MSA redlining takes time sometimes. So that happens. And then the pilot starts, and pilot also takes time, right? You have to engage, while the implementation is fairly easy, it still takes time to get people on the call. It's still that coordination takes time. So those are some of the things that are happening in the sales and post sales process today.
Of course. Well, then, Arjun, that was great. Thank you for giving us all of this insights. Where can people reach out to you if they want to get in contact with you?
Yeah. For learning anything more about Docket, go to docket.io. and start talking to the AI seller. You will hear everything. Let the agent speak to you. Don't have to talk to us, the annoying humans. I'm kidding. We are good people, so do come talk to us. To talk to me, to get connected with me, LinkedIn is the best place. Just search for Arjun Pillai and you should be able to find me. I would love to connect. I try to answer all the messages that I get.
Amazing, amazing. Well, then that was great. Thank you again, Arjun.
Thank you, Jose. I appreciate the time and thanks for having me.
Of course.